Okay, so the first thing we're going to be looking at is circumference. And it tells you the formula for circumference is 2 pi r. So to find the circumference of this circle, I'm going to do 2 times pi, which we're going to estimate is 3.14. That's my pi. And then I'm going to multiply that by my radius. The radius of this circle is 5. I'm going to do 2 times 3.14 times 5. So 2 times 3.14 times 5 is going to give me 31.4. So to find the circumference, I do 2 pi times the radius. Now, sometimes if they give you the diameter, some people use the formula pi times the diameter. It's really the same thing. 2 times the radius is the same thing as your diameter. So you'll see this formula 2 different ways. You can use either one of them. Since they gave me the radius, yes. So they gave me the radius in this one, so they're using this formula, but this formula will work as well if they give you the diameter. Okay, now the next thing, so it ties to circumference, which we did earlier this year. We've already done circumference before, is arc length. Okay, the arc length is how long is one section of the circle. So what we're looking for here is what's the length of this little section right here. So there's a formula for that. So this little symbol right here, you're not familiar with, but this means angle measure. Okay, so this is angle measure. So whatever your angle measure is, you're going to put in there. You're going to divide that by 360, and then you're going to multiply times 2 times pi times your radius. So you put your angle measure over 360 times 2 times pi times my radius. So let's look at what that looks like on the problem here. This would be 80, because that's my angle measure right here, over 360 times pi. Oh, I forgot my 2. Times 2 times pi times my radius, which is 5. So 80 over 360 times 2 times 3.14 times 5. Okay, then multiply that out. Multiply that out. And you're going to get 80 divided by 360 times 2 times 3.14 times 5 is 6.98. 6.98. Okay, your next one, you're trying to find the area of. To find the area, I do pi times my radius squared. So pi times my radius squared. My radius here is 5, so I'm going to do 3.14 times 5 squared. Okay, punch that in. You should get 78.5. Okay, then the final thing is the sector area. So when we talk about sector area, we're talking about finding the area of this little section, sort of like how much is my pie piece right here. So what you're going to look at here is, again, this is your angle measure. And then you're going to multiply that, you're going to divide that by 360 and then multiply by basically your formula for area. So I'm finding basically a part of my circle's area. So you're going to do this one. It's going to be 80 over 360 times pi times my radius squared. So 80 over 360 times 3.14 times 5 squared. So 80 over 360 times 3.14 times 5 squared. And that's going to give you 17.44. 17.44. And questions on what we've covered so far? Okay, flip over to the next one. So, number 1 here, it says find the area of the bolded arc. So if I'm trying to find the area of the bolded arc, you're going to put 60 over 360, and then you're going to multiply that times 2 times pi times your radius, which is 4. So you're going to do 60 over 360 times 2 times 3.14 times 4. And that should give you the formula. So the formula is the angle over 360 times pi 2 pi r. I should have wrote it down for us. Okay, so when I punch all that in, you should end up with getting 4.2. 4.2. Okay, I'm going to let you try this one, but we're going to talk about it first before you try it. So look at number 2. It says find the length of the bolded arc. Notice that the bolded arc for this one is this. Okay, that's the arc that I'm looking at here. Now, they tell me that this is 90 degrees. So if this is 90 degrees, how many degrees would this arc be right here? How would I find that? Yeah, it would be 270. You do 360 minus 90. That tells me that this arc measure here is the 270, which that's what you're going to use in your formula. So again, you're going to use your formula, angle measure over 360 times 2 pi r, because this is arc length. So solve that to find out what your angle measure is. So try that by yourself. Make sure you can enter it in your calculator, do all the things you need to. Okay, so let's put this in. So you're going to do 270 over 360 times 3.14, or sorry, times 2 times 3.14 times my radius, which in this one is 12. You're going to multiply that out. And that's going to give you 56.52. Okay, moving down to number 3. It says find the area of the shaded sector. So I'm actually looking for this whole section right here. What's the area of this section? So to find area, you're going to use the formula, your angle measure over 360 times pi times my radius squared. So we're switching our formulas. I'm not sure. So we're going to do 135 over 360 times 3.14 times my radius squared. So 135 divided by 360 times 3.14 times 4 squared. It's going to give me 18.84. Okay, take a second and try this one. We're looking for the area of, so the shaded sector, It's not really clear what the shaded sector is. I have my answer key. They actually want you to find the area of this sector right here. So if this is 315, what would be the measure of that sector right there? If this is 315, what would be the angle measure for that sector right there? Yes, 45. You do 360 minus 315, so the angle measure for that would be 45. So you're going to substitute in and solve for that. Okay, so if we substitute this in, you're going to do 45 over 360 times 3.14 times 8 squared. When we solve that, that's going to give you 25.1. Okay, now let's look at some word problems. You should be doing that. You didn't get 25.1? Yeah, 1, 2. I just didn't put that on the second decimal. 25.12. Okay, number 5. A pizza has a diameter of 10. So we're going to draw ourselves a picture here. So here's my pizza. It has a diameter of 10. Shh, you need to be quiet. It has a diameter of 10 inches and is cut into 8 slices. What is the area of one slice? So it's cut like this so that it gets 8 slices. So if I want to find the area of one slice, I first have to find the angle measure for each slice. I want to find the area of one slice, I first have to find the angle measure for each slice. So I'm making 8 slices.
Ladies, run 3 of the 4 back up.
Okay. Thank you. So, you're going to do 360 divided by 8 to find that angle measure. So I do 360 divided by 8. That tells me that each slice is at a 45-degree angle. Okay, now my formula for area is angle measure over 360 times pi times my radius squared. Throw it in the trash. Throw it in the trash. So you're going to put in 45 over 360 times 3.14 times your radius squared. Now be careful here. They tell you that your diameter here is 10 inches. You have to find your radius. So your radius here is going to be 5. So you're going to do that times 5 squared. So be careful whether they give you your diameter or your radius. Okay, so you're going to do 45 over 360 times 3.14 times 5 squared. And you're going to find your area is 9.81. Okay, number 6 says an 8-inch chocolate pie is cut into 6 slices. Show how long the crust is on one side. So when it asks me for how long the crust is, am I looking for area or am I looking for arc length? It asks me how long the crust is. Am I looking for the arc length or the area? I'm looking for my arc length. So with arc length, you're looking at your angle measure over 360 times 2 times pi times your radius. So here's my pie, and I'm cutting it into 6 slices. So it would look like that. Now, you're going to have to find out what that angle measure is. So how would I find out what that angle measure is? Right, 360 divided by 6, which means that each piece is at a 60-degree angle. So now you've got about the information you need. You do 60 over 360 times 2 times 3.14 times my radius. Is 8 inches my diameter or my radius? That's my diameter. So I'm going to split that in half. So half of that would be 4. So that's my radius. Then you punch that in, 60 over 360 times 2 times 3.14 times 4. And it gives me 4.19. Okay, number 7. A windshield wiper is 40 centimeters long. In one swipe, it turns an angle of 120 degrees. Find the area the one sweep covers. So here's my windshield wiper, and it tells me that it's 40 centimeters long. Okay, and it goes 120 degrees. So it starts here, goes across, comes back, back and back and back and back. Okay, so and it wants me to find out the area, the area that it sweeps across. So if it's area, I'm using this formula. I'm going to do my angle measure over 360 times pi times my radius squared. So my angle measure is 120 over 360 times 3.14. Now, the 40 here is actually your radius. Here's the reason. Because this, if I extended my circle, like we just imagined like it was a whole circle there, you would see that the 40 is the radius, okay? It's not the diameter. We're just looking at that one little section of the circle. So you're going to put that in. So 120 over 360 times 3.14 times 40 squared. So the area that it would cover is 1,674.67. Okay, and then the last one. A golf club is 95 centimeters long. Find the distance that the head of the club swings if it goes 315 degrees. So someone is swinging their golf club. They're standing here. They're swinging their golf club, and it goes around 315 degrees. Whoops, 315. Okay, now the golf club they tell me is 95. So that's actually my radius. And they want to know how long or how far did that go. So if I'm looking for how far did that go, am I looking for arc length or am I looking for area? I'm looking for arc length here. So you're going to do 315 over 360 times 2 times pi times my radius, which in this one is 95. So 315 divided by 360 times 2 times 3.14 times 95. And that gives me my arc length is 522.03. 522.03. Now, for homework tonight, if you will flip over to the next page. Okay, look at what you're doing here for each of these. It says find the length of each bolded arc. So you're finding the length of the arc here. You're going to find length here. It will be. When we take a test, we're not taking a test till later. Eventually. Not really, because we've got a lot of examples of each of these. Next, the length. You're doing length again here. And then length again here. The last four are all area. So for these up here, you're using the formula angle over 360 times 2 pi r. And then for 5 on down, you're using your angle over 360 times pi r squared. Whoops, sorry, you can't see it. So for the first four, you're using angle over 360 times 2 times pi times your radius. And then for down here, for 5 through 8, you're using angle over 360 times pi times your radius squared. Now, tomorrow you will have a quiz. Here's what your quiz is on. That's what we did yesterday. So, you will need to be able to identify each of these things. Your circle, radius, diameter, chord, secant, tangent line, arc, and sector. So it's these terms. What they look like, and then, yeah, so like it'll be something, it'll be like this. It'll be like this page.
Again, radius what?
It's the whole front page.
Oh.
Okay, so it'll look like this. I won't have you like drawing them. And you'll probably have to do an arc and tell whether it's a major or minor arc. Like I'll probably have a couple of arcs up there with whether you have to tell whether they're major or minor arcs. That's on the other page. But it'll mostly look like this, where you have to tell me what these things are. And then I'll probably have where you have to identify whether it's a major or a minor arc. I don't know if that's on that page there, but you have to identify whether it's a major or minor arc. Major arcs use 3 letters, minor arcs will use 2 letters. Exception is a semicircle. It also uses 3 letters, but it's a half a circle. So you would probably have a diameter marking that it's the half a circle. Okay. Any questions about